Hey, everybody. You know why we're here. It's the staff reading, right? And I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Jonathan. Thanks for coming to this. Thanks to Wyatt for hiring me many years ago. Some of you were probably still in high school. Just fucked up to think about, but what are you going to do? And thanks to Adam, Gwen, and Leah for having me here. You guys are great. And to the staff, you all are wonderful. Like I said, I've been coming to Swanee for some time, and every year is a little different. But this is the first and only time I've seen so much focus on goddamn phone, sorry. Projects that take a long time to complete. And that's been especially heartening for me, because I'm kind of a slowpoke. I've been working on this manuscript for a while about a couple of con artists who get stranded in the panhandle of Oklahoma during the Dust Bowl. I'll read a couple of brief sections from that. The first takes place after Eugene and his much younger sister Ruby flee a robbery in Santa Fe that left a man dead and Ruby badly beaten. And I'm picking up right after a dust storm they've been waylaid by. Here we go. In the morning, after the storm had passed, they awoke in the Chrysler on the side of the road a few hundred miles from Santa Fe. Dust hung in the air, specks glinting in sunlight. Grains of it rubbed against Eugene's teeth and tongue and tickled the back of his throat. He rolled down the window and spat. Then he looked out, trying to get his bearings, and saw the strange patterns the storm had left in the naked fields around them. A long, smooth plain gave way to sawtooth ridges. Chevrons softened into stretches of lines scalloped like fish scales. Land that looked like soft waves lapping against a riverbank flushed into another flat field. "We should get moving," he said. He turned the key and the engine hiccuped but wouldn't turn over. He tried again, pumping the gas pedal this time, but he couldn't get the car to start. He thumped the steering wheel with the side of his fist. Ruby asked, "What's the matter?" "I'm not sure." He pulled the handle and pushed, but the door wouldn't budge. He pressed his shoulder against it, and the door swung open, shaving through the drift that had piled around the car overnight. He stepped out and unlatched the hood. He tightened each spark plug, made sure the fan belt was intact, and felt around the engine. There were no cracks or leaks. He unfastened the air filter and knocked it against the fender. Dust fell from between the ridges. He put the filter back in place and slapped the fender a couple of times. "Try to start it now," he said. Ruby scooted across the bench and turned the key. The fan belt jerked forward and froze. Eugene shook his head and lowered the hood. He got back into the car and said, "Shit. What do we do now?" Ruby asked. "Sit and wait," he said. "Someone will come down this road sooner or later." "What if they don't?" "They will." It couldn't have been more than a couple of minutes before Ruby said we should walk. "Where to?" he asked. Other than east of Santa Fe, he wasn't exactly sure where they were or how close or far to the nearest town might be. He said, "Just sit tight." An hour passed, then another, and he started to wonder if Ruby was right. Maybe they would have been better off walking instead of baking beneath the rising sun. Then he saw a small cloud of dust bubbling on the horizon, a wrecker coming their way. He said, "Thank God," and stepped out of the Chrysler to wave the driver down. So the dude in the wrecker tows them into town. He drops them off at a hotel and tells them he'll take a look at fixing their car, but it'll probably be a few days or even a week before they're back on the road. The only other thing you need to know for this next section is that simple explosives can be made from common goods. Which is true. It's all online. The hotel clerk escorted them to their room and asked if there was anything else he could do for them. Eugene pulled one of the bills he'd stolen off the bar in Santa Fe from his pocket, held it out for the man, and said, "Get her some ice." The man nodded and took the bill. Ruby sat down in front of the vanity and said, "You tipped him too much. It's only ice." It's 1937, that's why $1 seems like too much at that point in time. "We're as good as broke," Eugene said. "$1 won't make a difference. Besides, we don't want anyone here knowing we're hard up for cash." Ruby began tracing the patterns in the etched glass mirror. Eugene said, "At least we're not stranded on the side of the road anymore. That's an improvement, right?" "I guess so." She examined her injuries in the mirror. Bruises surrounded her eye and circled her neck. She said, "But we're still stuck. We'll figure something out. First thing you can figure out is where to get me some aspirin. You should have had that little fella do it for you. You tipped him enough." The hotel clerk told Eugene to head to the Red Lion. "It's just a few blocks away," he said. "They carry a little of everything." On the way there, Eugene passed a hash house filled with empty four-tops and a long counter where a couple of men perched on stools ate sandwiches, a two-screen movie theater, and a small building with the windows painted over that he assumed was a bar. But many of the buildings were vacant, and pasted in one of the cracked windows was an old newspaper clipping, on it a drawing of magnificent skyscrapers rising from the wheat fields. The headline read, "Cochran, Oklahoma, America's next metropolis." The text was sun-faded, but he picked up on the gist. Good wheat years, good money. They'd thought it would last forever. They'd even imagined this dirt pile would become a great city. Looking at it now, it was hard to believe they'd ever entertained the idea. As he walked, he cataloged their assets, a broken-down car, their luggage, the gold watch they'd stole, a pistol also stolen, the few dollars he had in his wallet, and the money he'd taken off the bar in Santa Fe, minus the dollar he tipped the hotel clerk. They could probably get $15 to $20 for the pistol, maybe a little more for the watch. But for what it would cost to fix the car and stay at the hotel, they'd be right back where they started, or worse. He came upon the Red Lion, but before he went in, he took the gold watch from his pocket and put it on. It hung slack from his wrist, but still gave the impression of wealth. Inside, he scanned the shelves, looking for something, anything he could use to get them out of there. Back in the hotel room, Ruby was still sitting in front of the vanity, but now she held a handkerchief packed with ice pressed against her eye. He set a sack on one of the beds, dug out the bottle of aspirin, and handed it to her. A glass water jug and a set of cups sat on the vanity. She filled one up, shook out a few pills. She tossed them into her mouth, chased them with a gulp of water, and said, "It's going to look worse before it gets any better." "You'll heal," he said. Then he pulled out a skein of yarn, some clothespins, a sack of sugar, and a bag of saltpeter. She asked, "What's that for?" He took the basin from the dresser, set it on the bed, and asked, "Do you remember Victor Lustig?" "Sure," she said. "He's the guy who got sent to Alcatraz for counterfeiting a couple years back." Eugene scooped sugar and saltpeter into the basin and said before all that, he sold the Eiffel Tower. Right after the World's Fair, he went to Paris, posed as some sort of city official, and held meetings with every scrap metal dealer he could find. By the time they realized the tower wasn't his to sell, he was gone, and their money was too. Ruby asked, "What's your point?" Eugene grabbed the jug from the vanity and poured a stream of water into the basin. He stirred until the sugar and saltpeter had dissolved and the solution was cloudy. "There isn't a lot here we can take," he said. "We could pull wallets all day, but it wouldn't amount to much. And even if you weren't banged up, there's nobody here for you to string along." "Then what are we supposed to do?" He unraveled the skein of yarn and fed it into the basin to soak. "There's money here," he said. "It may not be much, but there's some, I'm sure. We just have to get these people to give it to us." She laughed and said, "I don't know if you noticed, but there's no Eiffel Tower here." "I don't need there to be." "Then what are you going to sell them?" she asked. He pulled out a wet strand of yarn and said, "Rain." Thank you. Please welcome Kate Jayroe.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming out. I would like to just extend a big thank you to everyone. It's a really wonderful community, and I'm just glad that we're all here together. I'll be reading the beginning section of a short story, and it's called The Promise of Meat. I've grown afraid of a guy I grew up around. Ed is a doll collector. We re-met at this YMCA class. It's a class for people aged 30 and above learning basketball. For people who had to do it in high school gym and then never tried again, but now they're ready and eager for the physical stimulation, as well as the exercises and strategy, and of course, the exhilarating magic of teamwork and action. You don't actually have to be over 30. People as young as 27 have enrolled. There is at the bottom of the advertisement a parenthesis for those over 30 and those over 30 in spirit. I've been to a lot of basketball games in life, here and there. It's fun. Beer costs so much. It's great for watching, even if you're not fully certain of the rules. In this game, points are wanted, as many as possible. It's nothing like golf. The indoor nature of basketball is true novelty. countless lights abuzz above all the whistling. The squeak of the shoe and the dance of the player are constant diamonds in the sport's tiara. As most are aware, golf is generally played outdoors. Ed taught me to dribble. I've just learned this neat technique, he said. He pushed up his glasses and got behind me. The ball danced from my hands. His hands hovered safely over mine, not too close, simply there if the ball happened to get out of hand. Ed says I look lovely out on the court, shooting threes. I can't wait to dribble for Ed. Ed says he remembers me from gym. I remember him falling over his own boots and eating asphalt in the senior parking lot after huffing keyboard duster. I remember him wearing a ratty corn t-shirt with an evil-looking girl child on it, hugging a chill-looking doll. But all I say to Ed is, I remember you from school too. Ed's a great horse partner. Ed always beats me at horse. I'm usually on S before he even gets H. If he gets H at all, that is. The only technique I'm better at than Ed is the granny shot. If I'm really lucky, I get him to O. I've yet to get Ed to S. Ed takes no pride in his constant horse victory. He walks to me slow. He respects failure. He hands me his flat high five. Good game, good game. Ed's got a shop called Dolls. The dolls he gets are old, rare. Many have eyelashes. A few of them have functions, talking, pissing, praying, the usuals, he says. The shop sits pretty on a small stretch of interstate frontage. Dolls does well. He keeps it tidy. He oils the espresso machine always when we meet up there. It seems like he likes having busy hands when I'm nearby. Ed has a shy pride in serving the petite porcelain cups, making steam rise from the machine. The machine shines, and the eagle on it shines too. It's just like a tea party, I say. Something primal firms in his jaw. We cheers, and there's a current of lust between our little vessels. A tea party, he mutters in return, behind a shy, squiggling grimace that is really a curving smile. It's dusk in the YMCA's parking lot. Ed leans against his purple PT Cruiser. Streetlights shoot on. Good game, good game. It's been months of this now. The moon is ripe with want, and she casts her silver down upon Ed's tousled locks, his sweet shoulder tips. Yes, I've grown afraid of Ed. No, it's nothing to do with dolls. I'm not sure what it was. One day, I saw Ed. I wanted Ed. Lust never ceases to amaze me. He did the squiggle thing with his lips. I mean, he always does it. But I really saw it. And then I had to reconcile with having truly, finally, actually seen the squiggle, witnessing the squiggle. I caught fire. It's a grimace from a soul that's known true contentment. I don't know. I wanted Ed at the squiggle. I want Ed now. I did not want Ed in the moderately recent or distant past. What a trip. When I feel his hands in my mind, am I even feeling his hands? I don't believe so. I could tell you the exact moment, but no, I could not. Here is why. It is because now that the lust has struck, all my memories from before the lust have been imbued with lust-colored glasses. The dreamy film of frothed pussy ache from a bone-chilling 3 a.m. hiss of spittle and fantastical blips running ragged across the clitoral mind before a final shudder. At night, I dream of Ed's silly but inevitable cock. I don't know it yet in the 3D world, but I know it really in the ways that matter, in the ways that come from dream and from the quiet heat of a brain in love. His erection is willow and steel and pumps something like the sweet juice of a ripe pear right into the edge of a very large oat muffin that he's doing that into for some reason that has something to do with the rules of such nightly vision as this. In dreams, the jism can go into many meaningful and symbolic vessels. Ed knows this even if he doesn't, because he does it so gracefully and with so much purpose in my dream. But here's the problem, Ed, he seems quick to frighten, inexperienced in a real girl like me. Not porcelain, No, not wood, not silicone, but hot flesh and quick roaring blood. And also, I am dating someone already, and he is named Joey. I'm on a date with Joey. Joey's son is a stick shift. Is this a stick shift, I ask? Yeah, he says. We cease. The yellow light burns to red. It's loud. The son is as a singing bowl when brakes have to get involved. Windows are good. We sing as we slow, then slow again in the film of traffic's evening. Being here, now. We had a good dinner at this place where things like broccolini or one meatball cost more than they ought to. The idea is to share many small amounts of common foods presented in unexpected shapes, while you drink cocktails with lavender involved. The best part of the meal was dessert, 3 kinds of milk laid out on a stone slab. One milk is not sweet. None of the milks have lavender involved. That omission was all right by me. Joey Everlast makes my whole house smell like basil. Joey's mustache is a friend to me. I'm actually kind of difficult to be had, a conundrum, I know. I love to stop and wait at Flirtation Station, but when it gets down to it, I get all shy. I regret how much single-use plastic I've used after I come. And then I board that lone late-night train, the Overthink Express, familiar yet always a new thing, moving from place to place with grave, reluctant terror. I'm miles away, right here, in the gray bed linens. Joey's mustache quakes beside me as it tickles the rim of one of the crystal drinking glasses. At the Food Lion where Dee and I work, I tell Dee about last night. Dinner, then asleep, back at my place, Joey Everlast. I am so weary of saying that I am a psychic, but I am a psychic, says Dee. I knew you would have 3 kinds of milk on a wood slab for dessert. One milk was not sweet. I asked Dee, well, what did you get into last night? Not so much. 8 beets, stoked ire online with intentions and clarity. A regular walks in, and they've got this baby now, months since the birth. 2 bottom teeth. Hey, Dee is ecstatic. Let me show your baby this sick neck tattoo I got last week. Dee moves hair quickly from one to the other side, and I zone out. I hum grocery store music to myself and think of how home smelled when I was small, when the month turned and my parents cashed their checks and bought groceries. Detergents and dew, fur, onion, pine, and smoke. The promise of meat at night made into something nurturing and hot. Thank you. And now, Philip Christian Smith.
Lord, it's on short people. Okay, I think. Hi, everyone. This is Will Murdoch of the Georgia Murdochs, and I'm gonna be, first off, trigger warning, gay sex, all the bad words, so run if you need to run. And this is from my thesis, so I apologize to my classmate Chad, who's been listening to this play for like 2 years. It's called Riverside Drive. There's gonna be 2 monologues, and that's it.
Scene 1, a Harlem comedy club. Norma's Shoe Repair and Comedy Corner is proud to bring back Harlem's own Eugene, the large but not in charge Nubian plus-size queen.
Hello, hello. I said hello, hello, Sugar Hill. Thank you. Okay. Also, I forgot to say I'm 350 pounds and 50 years old, okay? All right. Whenever I come into this neighborhood, Sugar Hill, I gots to have a donut. No, not because I'm fat. Well, I am fat. It's because I hear the word sugar, motherfucker. Sugar. This neighborhood needs to come with a trigger warning. Trips to Sugar Hill may cause big booty syndrome. You may feel the need to get a 24-pack of donut holes at the 145th Street Dunkin' Donuts upon exiting the A train. Sugar Hill is not recommended for those over 230 pounds, diabetics, chubs, or anyone with a BMI over 232.1. Sugar Hill is rated NC-17. Get your fat ass out of here, motherfucker. Why you at the Famous Fish ordering 2 fish plates when there's only one motherfucking one of you? And don't say it's for your wife, Miss Thing. I'm sorry, I need to watch my language. Look at me. I need a goddamn motherfucking parental control. But it would need to control not only what I put in my mouth, but also what comes out. Like, if I put a Twinkie up to my mouth would be like, nope, this food is unavailable. Bitch, I'd have deep-throated that Twinkie like I'd deep-throat your man. She looks like a lazy one. Look at her. She'd be like, lick, lick, lick. Are you close? My jaw hurts. I'd be like, lick, lick, slobber foam, licking like there's $1 million in the center of this 8-inch long Tootsie Roll. Well, there's a million somethings. Oh, I'm nasty. Regine just did a whole set about her wet-ass pussy, and I'm nasty. I see you homophobes. I see you. I'm kidding, just kidding. I know half of y'all in here with ladies tonight be on Grindr as bottom slut 125 in 8th Avenue, apartment 5C, door open. I'll be laying face down, ass up till 11:45 p.m., coinciding with your lady shift at the hospital, the Dwayne Reed, the MTA. Girl, you better check his phone and then get on Google and find out what gaping means. A picture is worth 1,000 words. So, I live on the edge of what some people call the Heights, or Hamilton Heights, or just plain Harlem. I live on the edge of 155 and oblivion. You ask niggas about who lives here and what the neighborhood's called, and you like to get 50 different answers. My house is in the nebulous region of 2 neighborhoods. My personality is stuck between 2 dualities. Look at me getting all Neil deGrasse Tyson. I appear to be fat on the outside, but on the inside is a 1996 Naomi Campbell, a 1999 Taye Diggs. Shit, I'd take a 2050 Naomi Campbell. You know that bitch gonna look good. And a 2028 Taye Diggs can come and get his whenever and however he wants it over easy scrambled with a side of grits. He still look good. I don't know what show he on, but he still look good. He's stupid though. He got divorced before that Frozen money happened. Let it go, let it go. Oh, some of you men's, I will take care of Tasty Diggs, do him right. You know, all that extra nasty stuff that you won't do for just any man. Ladies, you know, I would never do ATM. Some of you men's up in her know too. Ain't that right, girls? I'm talking to the men's. They know. Right, girls? Now, tell me, how many of y'all thought I was one of the weather girls had walked in on the stage of Norma's Shoe Repair and Comedy Corner when I was introduced? Don't lie. Since I'm not Martha Wash, y'all must have thought I was the other fat bitch. Don't nobody know what that fat bitch's name was? I will give 2 drink tickets to any brother or sister in here who can name her. If a queen comes up with it, you only get 1 ticket, faggot, because you really ought to know your gay history. Missy. Nobody? It's Izora Armstead. Don't no one know who she is, but they still playing that song everywhere. You know, if it's just about 10:30, not for the first time in history, but for like the 8 millionth time in history, it's gonna start raining men. And sissies and white girls be storming the dance floor like it's Black Friday at the Short Hills malls. I have looked for raining men on the weather app since I got an iPhone. When does this happen? Is it only in Florida? I'd be looking up at the sky. Come on down, man. Rain it down on me. What it? What it? Oh, I'm nasty. 5 seconds ago, Regine was talking about how her second side boyfriend got her so excited that when the subway flooded, that was actually her serving gush gush from the bush bush. Brother over there looking at me like he didn't come to the club to hear all this gay stuff. I'm disgusting, Negro. Regine got 3 boyfriends that we know of. She nasty. I'm a virtual nun compared to her. I'm living in my fantasy life, and she messing up the subway with her squirting orgasms. People got to get to work, Regine. People got to work. So the truth is, I am that other girl from the Weather Girls. I ate Martha Wash. It's payback for me getting erased from history. Where do black people go when we forget about them? Where do fat black people go when we forget about them? Where is obscurity? I suppose it's right where they came from. That's where they go. They never got away.
A great rumbling occurs. Eugene is astounded. It's a shaking. The lights flicker. This house belongs to them.
It's theirs. This house is theirs. It's
To
theirs.
them, it's theirs.
It's theirs.
The tremoring voiced sigh of a woman is heard. Blackout. Scene 5, a Harlem comedy club. Norma's Shoe Repair and Comedy Corner is proud to bring back Harlem's own Eugene, the large but not in charge Nubian plus-size queen.
Hello, hello. Hello, this is 50 pages later, by the way. Okay. Hello, hello, Sugar Hill. Well, y'all know I had to get my donut when I got off the subway at 145th.
Pulling a donut out of his coat.
Who likes these powdered sugar donuts anyway? They got a teaspoon of jelly in the center, tastes like nothing, and when you're finished eating it, it looks like you've been doing cocaine all night with Michael Douglas, Daryl Strawberry, and anyone else who was famous in the 80s.
Tossing that donut and pulling another from his coat.
Now this is something I can get a little more down with. Or should I say go down on? Chocolate cream filled. What? What? You're nasty. All y'all people in this audience is nasty. Y'all think I'm about to fellatiate this donut. Well, look at this gentleman over here trying to figure out what fellatiate means. Sir, fellate is what 2 grown men do, sometimes before the game, and sometimes after the game. Sometimes they do it on first down, and sometimes it's done on a touchdown. Sometimes it's done on a 3-pointer, and in hockey, they just do it the entire game. That's why nobody has their front teeth. You know? To make their friend feel good. It is not recommended to have the spicy hot wings or the jalapeno nachos before such fellatiating begins. Why don't you meet me in my dressing room afterwards so we can fellatiate each other? Because that's what grown men do. They fellate each other. Oh, look at his girlfriend. She has given me that eye. Please, if someone sees her take her earring off, please protect me, because that Washington Heights manicure looks like she asked for vampire with cubic zirconia. Don't worry, miss, I will not be attempting to fellate your boyfriend. I'm not going to take your man. I'm just going to fellate him and return him to you. Happy. So, now back to this donut. This chocolate is getting sticky on my fingers. Oh, yes, Duncan, you better taste good. Ladies, have you ever had a brother try to stick his fingers down your throat? Don't you want to say, you got the wrong one, friend, wrong one? Is this just a thing that gay men do? I mean, I know I eat too much, but do I need you to make me bulimic while you saying, this throat is mine, this throat is mine? Is this just a thing that gay aggro tops do? You know, I'm just asking for a friend, asking for a friend. I mean, I'm not complaining. If y'all want to, if anybody here wants to do that to me, I'm okay with it, okay? You chocolate kings. Oh, I see I have some takers. Some of these brothers out here looking at me hungry, like they want to do it more than just on Wednesday and something other than missionary. You know, they want to do it not just in the vaginomatic. I don't have a vaginator, but I do have a fat ass in the original pussy. Too much? Too much? So who out here is unemployed? I have generally found that if a man does not have a job, he is sure to be blessed in other ways. Just me? Unemployment is a sure sign of girth, length, and choking danger. The more you know. Ding, ding, ding. Thank you. Coming to the stage, we have Tennessee's own Briana Wheeler.
Hello. Is that good? Okay. Leah, Adam, Gwen, thank you. As always, the staff, faculty participants, all of my friends, you change my life in this place every year. Okay, I'm gonna read an essay, the heart of it. So what you need to know is that back in February, I went to a concert. Chapel Roan, she's like a queer pop artist. I'm obsessed with her. She's perfect. And that memory was perfect. And so then this essay is that, can you hear that background? Okay. So this is the heart of it. To be queer is to be in a constant state of conflict. It's always fucking something. The undercut is swift and ranges from irritating to life-threatening. The eve of the concert, 2 anti-LGBT bills sit on Governor Bill Lee's desk. We know the inevitable. In less than 1 week, public drag performances and gender-affirming care for minors will be banned in Tennessee. Like, fuck. Sure, maybe some sort of judicial action could lead to an injunction. We are nothing if not forever hopeful the legislative tug-of-war will yank the flag on the rope a little closer, make us feel a little safer. But the slip still hurts, hands stinging and raw. With these bills looming, I imagine we all would have been perfectly happy to abandon our fears at the door for a frivolous evening. No one would blame us. In fact, I'd grown used to this dynamic when entering queer spaces for a casual night out. The advertisement reads, "We know you're afraid, all the time, but here, within these walls, you're safe, you're seen." I like to imagine packaging my worries into a neat little parcel and plopping it into a picnic basket outside. When the night ends, it's waiting for me, maybe a little heavier, with a nice handwritten note that says, "We'll get there, heart. See you next time." But not here. Not tonight. Chapel enters stage left, takes the mic, and urges us to cling to everything we don't want to lose. Flanked by the local drag queen she's hired to open the show, she opts to lean into the reality we're facing. "I've been keeping up with what's going on right now in Tennessee," she says, "and it's pretty devastating. I just keep thinking about the artists, their livelihoods, and all the kids and teenagers in jeopardy." More than a performative statement, she researched local organizations in Nashville that work tirelessly to support queer people in our city. She moonlights the Oasis Center, which specializes in providing a space where queer youth can discover and embrace their identities, detailing how to donate if we can. Hello? Most of us are young, broke. We roar our assent. She reminds us of a truth that would be dangerous to forget. It's up to us to save ourselves. "We're here," Chapel shouts, and the show goes on. Let's fucking get it then. The music starts to play, our bodies melt into each other, and I've never heard grief and celebration marry so loudly. My parents are divorced, so when I experience a major life event, I have to call them in turn. Mom's first on the roster this time. I diligently recount the events, and she revels in the joy with me, like a girl at a slumber party. When I backtrack to emphasize the political undercurrent, she's vehement. "Well, I just don't see how that makes any sense. God, what flaming fucking idiots." Mom's always been indignant, imbued with a strong sense of justice. I'm never allowed to forget about the protests she attended when she was young, and she spent my childhood supplementing my Southern public school education with suffering. Walks along the Trail of Tears, trips to any free exhibit she could find about the civil rights movement or the Holocaust or women's suffrage, conversations about mistreatment in psychiatric facilities. We were in no uncertain terms permitted to glance away from human brutality. Then divorce swept in, and she had to uproot from stay-at-home mom to working single mother. And when this happens to you, when you look up in your mid-30s and have to scrounge for a living with no marketable experience, the nuance of the current moment escapes you. Your convictions remain steadfast, but the world evolves around you. The language changes, political landscapes shift. To admit you can't keep up is to admit you've lost the pulse of a bleeding heart. Pride creeps in, and with it a reflex to flinch at suffering you don't understand. When I came out as a lesbian, that was easy money. Mom is a longtime supporter of the gay rights movement. But for a while, whenever our conversations veered towards more gray issues that have recently moved to the foreground of the news cycle, such as non-binary identities and they/them pronouns, that reflex would kick in a little bit. I just don't know if I get that, she'd say. But my experience at the concert provided an opportunity to invite her in, to crack my world open enough to provide a foothold for her curiosity. Rather than a theoretical debate, it was a concrete moment of denial. And in explaining the potential ramifications of the new laws on a community I'd found salvation in, I felt our worlds resync. Darling, I'm just so sorry, she breathes out on the phone. I'd always imagined my life as filled with all types of people. Drag queens and poets and astronomers crashed out on our living room floor. I just wonder if you'd have found yourself sooner if I'd been able to make the life for us I wanted. Because of what you did do, I'm able to build the life I want, and now we can share it, I assure her. In late May, I moved to Knoxville, Tennessee, and June brought cicadas and pride. When I informed Mom that my friend Krishna and I were planning to attend the local festival, she exclaimed, "Oh, I want to come, I want to come. I want to be there for my baby's first pride." So she drove 3 hours, and we drank bottomless mimosas and basked in the sun. Pride in Knoxville looks like an elevated craft fair adorned with rainbows. As we wandered through the booths, we discussed gender and communed with everyone around us. Mom was convinced every man we talked to wanted to take Krishna home. She laughed when I told her he'd let them if we weren't careful. That night, I laid in her lap while she stroked my hair, and Krishna snored softly beside us on the couch. She repeated how she'd never seen me like this, cheeks flushed and so at ease. I call Dad next. I diligently recount the events, and he revels in the joy with me, like an excited puppy. When I backtrack to emphasize the political undercurrent, he's vexed. Oh yeah, that is a problem. Dad's taken a bit more work. With him, unconditional fatherly support came naturally, but we had to grow his social awareness from the ground up. Recently, we had a conversation during which he revealed that not only had he not had a purpose in life until he met my mother, but he wouldn't have even known how to conceive of one. 19 and in the Navy when they met, he literally spent his days adrift. I'd always associated their meeting with summer heat and shorts because I thought the backdrop for their first kiss was a fireworks show on the 4th of July. So when I said, "Man, that must have been one special holiday," and he looked really confused, I was really confused. I reminded him that when I was a child, he told me about the fireworks. He laughed and gently corrected me. There weren't fireworks while we kissed. We kissed and there were fireworks. So I married her 6 months later. My sister was 6 months old when my parents met. A wee, delicate thing, flighty, but resilient. She was the guest of honor at their elopement, and the honeymoon consisted of a Taco Bell picnic at the playground while they watched her waddle around, attempting to play on equipment much too big for her. It was all they could afford. That day, I went from nothing to a husband and a father all at once, he tells me, tears welling up. And that's who I've been ever since. Not always a husband, haha, but a father. From then on, I knew who I was and what I needed to do. Your sister gave me that. And so every waking second became devoted to figuring out how to keep food on the table and the lights on, needs he hadn't always had met. When the context of your entire adult life centers around providing for others in such a primal way, when you're desperately trying to construct a life that wasn't modeled for you, you aren't left with much mental space to consider the lives you aren't living. Which is to say that when I came out and expressed my frustration at encountering roadblocks that can't be solved by simply improving my work ethic, I'd receive a sort of, "Oof, yeah, that is tough," statement. An annoying response when you're looking for a little compassion. Rather than brush him off and discount him, I spent many nights informing him about queerness so he could gauge the weight we carry. To his credit, he listened, willing to hold his hands out and bear the burden with me. These days, he calls me all the time with questions. My favorite calls are the ones that begin with, "Hello, dear. So, this guy at work today said this thing that I recognized at the time felt kind of fucked up, but I don't really know why. Can you explain, insert whatever it was? And slowly, I've gotten to witness him discover the difference between being the sort of person who doesn't make things worse for others versus the kind who actively supports them. On the phone about the concert, I felt our mutual emotional labor crest. Man, I get it, he says. I hear in your voice now what you're searching so hard for. I'll do what I can to help you find it. I have before, and I'll continue to, but it might only ever exist in moments, I reply. In late April, I turned 25. Waiting on the couch for my roommate Hayden to finish her shower so we could depart for birthday festivities, I get a text from Dad telling me to check my email. There's a video of him waiting for me in my inbox. When I press play, he speaks to me. For your birthday this year, there's not really a card that can say all of this. So I thought you and I could spend a few minutes together. You can see me, I can see you, but we don't really have to say a whole lot. And you can just feel how much I love you. The opening note of Chapel Roan's Pink Pony Club rings out, followed by that delicious sweep down the keys. As the lyrics wash over us, he holds up these little handwritten cards. And the words are backwards because he's using the front-facing camera, which makes me giggle before we weep. Okay, so this is like lyric card. So like this is one that's you'll be able to tell, but okay, anyways. I know you wanted me to stay. Happy birthday. I'm having wicked dreams of leaving Tennessee. I love you. God, what have you done? Thank you. Black lights and a mirror disco ball. I am proud of you. You're a pink pony girl and you dance at the club. Happy birthday. Again. I'm gonna keep on dancing. I love you. Thank you.